Right. Good evening, Accra time. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may or may not be. Thank you for joining our session. This is the Constantism Study Group, and we once again have met or are meeting on a Saturday evening to continue the discussion. Today on the continental economic sovereignty and authority of the continent of Africa. So thank you for joining us. We shall have one hour of presentations followed by discussion. And I would like to welcome everyone one at a time, after which I should hand over to Brother Welcome. I am Christian Kwame Ampotsa, and so I'm going to welcome everyone one at a time, after which I should hand over to Brother Welcome to chair the first part of the presentation. So welcome, Brother Pigeon. Welcome, Sister Ida. Welcome, Brother Benny. Welcome, Sister Portia, one of our speakers. Welcome, Setshaba Sechweo. Let us know if you want to present. I'm sure Brother Welcome will most certainly let you present. Welcome, Brother Welcome, and then welcome myself. Thank you. So I'll hand over to Brother Welcome, who will invite the first speaker, Sister Portia, to present. Thank you. Brother Welcome, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Thank you, everybody on the group. You are heartily welcomed, as Brother Kwame has already done. And Sister Portia, can you please take us through our presentation tonight? We are eager to hear. We are all ears. We know you're going to make us move at the places where we are seated. The floor is yours, my sister. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay? You can just put a thumbs up in the chat or... Okay. All right. I'm very thankful to be presenting after Professor Kwame. One of the things I appreciate about him, and it has given me pause, is he is very well read. So he knows how to look at stuff from a factual context. So I'll be curious to hear what he has to say from my presentation on this topic of continental sovereignty and authority, asserting our collective power. I think before we can begin with the topic, and I have two paragraphs that are pulled from a draft work that my colleagues and I are working on. And to date, as I said, there's 2 weeks ago, I said there hasn't been any objection to this work, yet I welcome critiques. I want to start with something I said 2 weeks ago, and it was around liberation. On the African continent, so we're talking West, North, Central, East, Southern, there's not anywhere you can look in those regions and not find a United States of America government presence. Be that militarily, be that culturally, be that educationally, and dare I say, be that psychologically. And that's one country. So before going into this topic, I think it's important to know that the U.S. government and how we feel about America, the United States of America, has impacted many of us throughout Africa and its diaspora. And I'll give an example because I was talking to one of the King brothers last year about this. And it was the first president after independence of Tanzania. And he went to a United States trip under the former United States of America President John F. Kennedy Jr. And there is a video of him interacting with the USA delegation. And what is basically being said is in this clip is that we hope that America can help us, progress our country. And that is what, 20, 30 years ago? Now, fast forward to date, and I gave this example before, where it was the election between Mr. Bobby Wine, and Mr. current Ugandan president, Mr. Yoweri Museveni. And in that clip that Bobby Wine was doing, he was saying, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, we want United States of America intervention, yet we Ugandans want to be able to self-determine ourselves. So there has been a historical context very far back of us seeking counsel with arguably governments, and I would say not even arguably because the facts are there, governments who are not serving the best interests of Africa and its diaspora. So I think when we look at this topic of continental sovereignty and authority, I think there has to be a examination within us as a communalism type purview to say, how are we thinking about continental sovereignty and authority? Because it could be that we are still thinking of it, Africa and its diaspora, as from even the most well-read of us, even the most conscious of us, from a very imperialistic and or colonialistic framework. And that blocks us from achieving that sovereignty and authority. I wrote this week in another session that we were doing on Thursday, and we were discussing, like we continuously do, in much respect again to Professor Kwame, King Brother Pigeon, and all of the Queen Sisters, among others, who have held together, Sister Ida, for example, who have held together this group, CSG, has been here for more than 2 years. I think I heard 5 years. So there is the heart there. There's the heart there. And as I was saying on Thursday, returning all the way back to indigenous Akibalan ways. And Akibalan, of course, one of the earliest names of contemporary Africa, returning to those ways, I contend, is revolutionary and will be how we get our sovereignty and authority. And then I know the counter argument to that is, well, we can't go back to just, doing the ways that served us back then, because now this is a new day age. And I really disagree with that. I think it is quite revolutionary when we have our land again, we grow our own food, it is non-GMO. For example, here in the United States of America, when I came here, and I didn't want to come here, as my heart is in Africa, yet I am here, that is my citizenship. And I started getting the food from the food pantries. And I was reading the ingredients, because I contend that we must read the ingredients of any type of thing we are eating or digesting. And now there is bioengineered food here in the bread, in cocoa. It is plentiful. So it can be revolutionary for us to have our own food that's non-GMO and not bioengineered food. And Kenya is an example of how difficult that can be if we're talking about GMO foods, arguably. So my presentation is in hopes to have us think about this question rather than say, here is the concrete answer. I do think a concrete answer, not the only one, is that we do return to our indigenous ways. I think that is quite revolutionary. There is nothing under the sun that our ancestors did not do that cannot serve us in this hardship of a system called racial capitalism system or systems that we're in. Now, before we get to that returning, I think there needs to be an acknowledgement. And these are the two paragraphs that I'm going to read to you, and then I will conclude. And I am aware that all of us among here are quite well read. So please, I don't say this out of trying to teach. I am just constantly trying to challenge. The transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, and apartheid perpetuated global systems of injustices, as well as subsystems of injustices, which in turn designated Africa as a sacrifice zone for the agricultural, political, economic, social, intellectual, religious, and ecological benefit of the rest of the world. I had said this around 2 weeks ago. One of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's points in his book that we are reading on Thursday, Conscientism, Philosophy and Ideology of Decolonization and Development, with particular reference to the African Revolution, is about capitalism as a type of social and political theory. It could be argued that capitalism is a religious, racialized, social, and political ideology, especially as per instances of then papal bulls. And for example, if you look at 1452, 1455, and 1493. This type of ideology, applied capitalism or applied racial capitalism, said that religion was an evangelical absolution by way of total earthly submission. A convert could not be saved through religion unless foregoing African spiritualities. Long-term religion, this type of religion, would replace African spiritualities with a particular focus on the replacement of Africa and its diaspora. So if you give them a foreign religion, they will forego anything or look down upon anything that is indigenous African. Now, this is a repeat, arguably, of what I said around 2 weeks ago, yet I wanted to reread it. Now I want to go to what is blocking us from this authority and this sovereignty. One moment, please. And I will be wrapping up, Prof, momentarily.
Sister Portia?
Yes, sir. I'm still here,
Are you
Chair.
still there?
Yeah, I will be wrapping up momentarily. I lost my page. I have found it now. So
thank you. Go ahead, please.
So thank you, Chair. So we have the challenge of a religion that is blocking us from having sovereignty and authority. And if you go anywhere throughout the continent, and if you go anywhere throughout the world, you can see this. So that's one blockage. And the second blockage that we have, and here's the paragraph that I will read now, is our continued discussions about disunity and lack of trust. So equally important, Africans and African diasporans are not a monolith and should not be considered so. So I have said this again, that we are not the only people who struggle with disunity and trust. What happens, though, with the propaganda that impacts us, arguably like the religion that doesn't serve us, is it tends to show us as the only group of people who are not trusting of one another. So you will see us trust, for example, a European person quicker than an Africa. You'll see us run to quicker to a European-led university than stay with an African-led university. And then another example of that is we could be, for example, very harsh about, and I myself am guilty of it, of where Africa is, not knowing the context and the systematic way of trying to devour Africa. I began with the military presence on Africa, the educational presence, the political presence, and I even said the psychological presence. It is no other continent in the world that has been targeted the way Africa has in terms of imperialism and colonialism, I contend. So this being said, one of the challenges that we will have is these struggles that have been experienced by additional people throughout the world, and not overindulging that we can never be unified or we can never trust each other. I will stop there and say again, thank you for listening to me. And my beginning points is that it is a very targeted program against African and African diasporas to keep us from sovereignty and authority. And we should look into religion and the lack of trust and the disunity within context in order to return to the indigenous ways of Akibulan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister. Thank you so much. It is really deep. And it is definitely the way you have quoted from your two quotes earlier at the beginning, it is really cutting deep. Brother Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Anytime. You don't need to wait on me anytime.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to start. Can I, Chair?
Please chip in on what Sister Portia has said, one word or two before you continue.
Yes,
if there is none, please.
Thank you, Sister Portia. If I had my sister right, drew our attention to the fact that there is no trust, if I was correct. There is no trust among Africans or people of African origin, and that they trust their enemies more than they trust one another. And sister has shared that with us on the basis of our sister's experience, what she has seen and what she's heard. Our sister is a scientist, so she is speaking on the basis of scientific authority based on her research. So we respect what our sister has said, and we thank our sister for the presentation. What I would add is that trust is not external to a system, and a trust is inherent or can be inherent in a system. There are pockets of trust that should give us hope. If I may just name a few, there was enough trust amongst the Algerians to fight the French, to end French presence in Algeria. There was enough trust amongst the Angolan people when the Cubans came there to help them. There was trust between the ANC and those who left the South African homeland, went across the borders to other southern African countries, sought refuge there, and were trained by them. There was enough trust for them to be trained, and so on. There was enough trust in Ghana for Ghanaians to rally around Nkrumah and fight for the independence of the Gold Coast. There was enough trust amongst the Mau Mau of Kenya for them to decide to fight for the land. There was enough trust amongst the ZANU, what became ZANU and ZAPU, for them to, after the independent declaration, the declaration of the unilateral declaration of independence by Ian Smith of Rhodesia, there was enough trust for the Africans to go into the bush and fight for the land. And we remember great names like the Dan Kimati and others. I think the question is whether or not those trusts that reside in our indigenous and organic nations, whether those trusts can be invoked at the continental level. There are traditional institutions within Africa which, if we are doubtful of people's trusts, there are institutions that we have that can sort that out. And one of those institutions is the institution of swearing before the ancestors. And when the Mau Mau swore, that is the kind of swearing they did. So we have the traditional institutions. If we are not sure somebody can be trusted, there are ways we can deal with that and ensure that there is trust. We are aware that people swear on the Bible and on the Quran and then turn around and lie. Even in a court of law, they will swear and then they will lie. When you swear before a traditional priest and you lie, you know there will be consequences. So I'm saying that where there's a lack of trust, we know how to deal with it within traditional Africa. It is the neo-colonial state that doesn't know how to deal with it, because the neo-colonial state's intention is to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So a system that is on the continent and aimed at stealing, killing, and destroying does not engender trust. It does not promote trust. It destroys trust. So what we are seeing on the continent in terms of the neo-colonial management of the entire African continent, what we are seeing is basically a manifestation of neo-colonialism that inherently does not encourage trust, even within its own institutions. Yeah. Lawyers, we have situation where an entire judiciary can be bought. We have that on the continent. There's a country, I won't mention its name, that has a whole judiciary, and yet somebody was returned to office. He's been in office for years and years. He's returned to office. Everybody knows that the election wasn't free and fair, but the judiciary has kept quiet. So we have that. So those are my comments on the question of trust. So I suppose I'm saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. So let's not be fearful at all. When the time comes, the trust will also come. So our topic for today is on the question of sovereignty. And I think I did share. Let me share it again. That's our topic. It's continental sovereignty and authority. So let me define some of the words. Then I'll go into the presentation. I'll be about only 10 minutes presentation, by the way. So my title is The Reclaiming Reclaiming the African Future, Sovereignty, Authority, and the Unfinished Revolution. So my core thesis for this presentation is that true continental sovereignty is the ultimate objective of the African Revolution. A revolution that is not just historical, but ongoing, fighting to transfer authority from external and neo-colonial forces to the African people. That's my core thesis. Sovereignty, in brief, means authorship. To be sovereign is to be the author of whatever you want to author. So an author is somebody who writes books, if you take it in that sense. And the author, when they are writing books, decide who, what, when, where, the plot, everything. And that is who an author is. And so when someone has sovereignty, it means they have authorship. Authority has different meanings, but let's just say in our case here, authority is having the power to make decisions and to enforce those decisions. So greetings, everyone. So let me talk about this concept in the sense that it is both a dream and a battlefield. Continental sovereignty and authority, I am suggesting to us, must be seen through the African Revolution. And the African Revolution, I would argue, has been ongoing since enslavement. Happened in the diaspora, continued on the continent as well, and evolved, and started then with the conferences in the US, and then came to England, and then came to Accra in 1958. And this African Revolution, essentially, which is about the topic, our topic for today, which is that we have no continental sovereignty and authority on our own continent as Black people. And as part of that evolution of the African Revolution, we've had big names like Marcus Garvey, very pivotal, who you remember was working in a printing press. He was a manager there, took time off, went around the world, saw the situation of African people, Black people, everywhere. They were subordinate, and they decided to do something about it. Went to the US, formed the UNA, and the rest is history. He inspired others like Nkrumah, who took on the baton. So that is the African Revolution, the struggle for us to have continental sovereignty and authority. And what that means is that it's not about maps and governments. It's about who controls Africa's destiny, its resources, its narratives, and its future. Now, continental sovereignty, let me define it again. It is a collective right of the African people as a unified body to self-determination, free from foreign domination, and it is political, it is economic, and it is cultural. Authority, let me go define authority again. The legitimate power to exercise that sovereignty, to make laws, control resources, and define a society's path. So foreign thinkers like Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, Frantz Fanon, and a host of them, okay? So the African Revolution therefore refers to the continual struggle, as I've said, from the armed liberation, including the armed liberation against colonialism, to the current fight against neocolonialism. We are in a state of war against neocolonialism. And our aim is to restore African authority to the African people. Now, let me go to the first wave, what you might call the first wave, political liberation, which is the political liberation. The first act of the revolution in recent memory was the anti-colonial sovereignty. Heroes like Nkrumah, Nyerere, Fanon argued that without independence, there is no sovereignty. Political sovereignty was only necessary in order for us to exercise economic sovereignty. The 1960s therefore saw the wave of flag independence, But there was a catch. While we gained nominal sovereignty, a seat at the UN, we often did not gain real authority. Colonial borders divided nations. Economic structures remain tied to former colonizers. Our state apparatuses today have been inherited, and they were designed for control, not development. The authority of the people, of the African people, was frequently usurped by comprador elites and foreign corporations. Please keep an eye on the waiting room. Those of you with co-hosts, Philip is in the waiting room. And so let me then now go to neocolonialism, the new colonial challenge. Now, this is where the revolution became unfinished. So our topic for today is really to shine light on the unfinished revolution. Neocolonialism, as Nkrumah prophetically warned, became the new frontier. Sovereignty is hollow when economic authority lies with the IMF, with the World Bank, and foreign extractive companies. Monetary authority is ceded through the CFA franc or dollar dependency. I've said it again and again that it doesn't make sense for the African people to give away their gold, $4. Remember, gold is the ultimate currency. Okay, to give up that gold or those diamonds, whatever minerals they are, for paper, which is what the dollars are, is paper not worth anything is written on. All right, it costs less than 10p to print. We can't continue to give away our gold, our minerals for pieces of paper, and then we turn around to borrow those pieces of paper in order to pay for what we need. It simply doesn't make sense. Okay, so as long as monetary authority is ceded to the CFA franc or dollar dependency, we have no sovereignty. Cultural sovereignty surrendered to Western media and education. So a lot of talk about the internet, but the servers on which even what the discussion we are having now, the servers on which they are stored is in the US. Okay, in the United States of America, the top imperialist nation that hates us. Let's be clear, they will kidnap our presidents if they have to. They will poison our waters if they have to. The CIA is the most inhumane organization on this planet. Any evil you can think of, whether it comes to bombing women and children or poisoning people, any deception, whatever, any evil that can enter your head, trust me, the CIA has already thought of it. They are masters, they are past masters at the violation of human rights. That is why they were set up. Okay, and this country called USA, they hate us. Okay, let's be clear, they don't love us. And the previous speaker drew our attention to the fact that they have bases all over the continent. Okay, so then that takes me to security. But before that, let me mention the cultural authority. We have, I think I've mentioned that in terms of media and education. With security, our security is outsourced to foreign militaries and mercenaries. We send our soldiers to go and train with the enemy. What do we expect? They come out and they cause they ferment coups. Okay, it doesn't make sense for anyone to send your soldiers to your enemies to be trained by your enemies. It is madness. But that's what is happening. So security is outsourced to foreign militaries and mercenaries. So the fight for continental sovereignty today is largely a fight against these entrenched external authorities. Now, reclaiming authority. We have seen some amount of movement to reclaim authority. The first is the African Union and the African Free Trade, Continental Free Trade Area. Those are attempts imperfect though they are, to get back some sovereignty by creating a single market. The second are movements for ecological sovereignty. So we have communities resisting destructive mining to the Great Green Wall, and it's about authority over land and government. And then there are also some movements around intellectual and cultural revolution, the push to decolonize education, the rise of Afrocentric scholarship, the global soft power of Afrobeats and Nollywood are reclaiming some of the narrative authority. Then there is citizen movements, from NSAS in Nigeria to pro-democracy rallies. These are direct assertions of popular authority against unaccountable power. But there is more to be done. So the unfinished work, and my conclusion is this. So where does this leave us? The project of continental sovereignty remains incomplete because authority is still fragmented and contested. All right. Internally, we must build democratic authority that serves the people, not the elites. Continentally, we must strengthen our institutions if we have to transform them so that they have real authority over peace, trade, and policy. And globally, we Africans must transform the world order. It will not be done by anybody else. They won't do it for us. We will have to do it along with our friends. And there are friends. We have friends on the global stage who also have teeth and can bite. Right? They are ready to go into civilizational pacts with us because some of them suffer the same colonialism and humiliation that they suffer. In fact, one of them said that they suffered a century of humiliation. They call it a century of humiliation. Okay, if we reach out to them, they will help us. Okay, so we must help to transform the world order that still denies Africa its full voice. So what is my conclusion? This is my conclusion. The African Revolution is a relentless journey from foreign domination to nominal independence, which we've got and have now, on its path to meaningful sovereignty. Brothers and sisters, let's be clear. Africa will unite. Let's all be clear about that. Let nobody panic. Let no one be afraid. Africa will unite. We shall all see, either before we move on to join the ancestors, or our children will see it. But Africa will definitely unite. Let's all be clear about that. And this unification and meaningful sovereignty will be the transfer of authority in every sphere, from boardrooms to classrooms, back into the hands of the African people. It is not going to be a single event. It's a continuous demand. Nothing about us without us for us. The revolution continues. Thank you. Brother Winhook, are you there? Okay, Brother Winhook is not there. So, right. So you've had two presentations from Sister Portia and myself. There's a hand up. Is that Brother Pigeon? Is that you? Brother Pigeon?
Yeah, it must be
okay.
Brother Pigeon.
Yeah.
Brother, can you hear me?
I finished, but you didn't respond.
Yeah,
So
no, I was struggling with my gadget here.
That's fine. Back to you, sir.
Can you
hear me?
It's getting old. Thank you. Yes, Brother Pigeon. Just hold on a sec.
Thank you.
Brother Kwame.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That was a mouthful. That was very educational, eye-opening and reassuring, especially that Africa will, not Africa will, but Africa shall unite in our lifetime or in the lifetime of the generations to come, but it's a definitivity that it will unite. So thank you so much for that presentation. It was really moving. Brother Pigeon, please come on, take the
Yes,
floor. Thank you.
Mama Window, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I trust everybody else can hear you. Go ahead, please.
No, thank you very much. I will be very brief. I will ensure that I'm 10 minutes to the maximum. Now, I want to talk a bit about this topic.
So, Brother Pigeon, you are making a presentation.
Yes, if you allow.
Thank you. No, you are already allowed. I just wanted to make sure, you are not commenting on the previous speakers, but you are making a presentation. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Now, Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya talks about sovereignty of the people. Now, when you talk of continental sovereignty, is sovereignty of who? Because what makes the continent is the people. Now, there's what is called territorial integrity, which then sometimes is called sovereignty, but we must be very clear on who do we call sovereignty on. Now, Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya says, all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. In this context, I'll say, all sovereign power belongs to the people of Africa and shall be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. That's according to the Kenyan constitution. The Article 2 of the constitution then says that the people, and underline the word, the people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representative. Now, I want to pause there to come back to the topic sovereignty. Now, the continental sovereignty, according to how I'm trying to push my narrative, the continental sovereignty belongs to the people of Africa, not the governments in Africa. The sovereignty we talk about is of the people of Africa. And that the people of Africa may exercise their power either directly or through whatever you call democratic elected, whatever. So if you're moving to the continental sovereignty, how do we, the Africans, envision to exercise this, our sovereign power? And what responsibility do we have as a people, not as so-called colonial governments, to ensure that we defend our sovereignty? And as one of the speakers said, sovereignty is both social, political, and all you call economic and cultural, whatever. Is economic sovereignty of Africa in the hand of the people of Africa? Is it in our hand? And are we exercising that sovereignty directly? Or the sovereignty of the economy of Africa is in the hand of the capitalist? How about even educational sovereignty? And we are very sure it is not, we don't have educational sovereignty. We don't have economic sovereignty. We don't have political sovereignty. So when you talk of continental sovereignty, we the people basically don't have that continental sovereignty. Now the question will be, how did we lose that? And how can we gain back that sovereignty? And it's very clear that what we push as Consciousness Study Group, the United Nations of Africa ensures that the sovereignty belongs to the nations. The nations of Africa are not the neo-colonial states or countries of Africa. And that the nations will and must decide how they want that power to be exercised. Now, the Constitution of Kenya still goes to Article 3 that says that sovereign power under this Constitution is delegated to the following state organs. So it's either to the parliament, either to the national executive, judiciary, and all that. Now, who are we as the people delegated our sovereign power to? Is it these neo-colonial governments? And do they exercise it to our interest? Then I'll speak a bit on authority. As been defined, it's just like the power to do something. But from where or who grants that authority? I'll say the authority must also be with the people and come from the people. Any authority that is not by the people or from the people is not a legitimate authority for us to respect. So we, the people, must have authority to exercise our sovereignty for the interest of us as a people. But as we learn in consciousness, the dominant segment of the society, who happens to be the minority in the society, are the people with authority and the people who interfere with our sovereignty. Therefore, when you talk of continental authority and sovereignty, we are calling for unification, collective efforts, collective synergy, which leads to the unification of Africa, so that only a unified Africa can truly be sovereign and can truly have authority to exercise and work for the interests of Africans. And that will be the end of my presentation. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Brother PJ. Sorry, my apologies. Thank you so much. Very good presentation with the Constitution of Kenya at point. Of course, as an aspirant presidential candidate, I'm sure the whole Constitution of Kenya is at the tips of your hands. If it is not yet, by next month it should be. Thank you so much. Brother Kwame, on Brother Pigeon, please, any addition, any comment? Thank you.
Thank you. We thank our brother Pigeon for his erudite and very impactful presentation on his clarification, and he's linking it with concisism. Chair, with your permission, I'd like to play the African National Anthem, and then that takes us to the second session of today's session. Thank you.
I grant you that even within my 2 minutes still left. Please go ahead.
Oh, I'm happy to wait for the 2 minutes for you to. It's fine. Yeah.
No, go ahead, brother.
No, it's fine,
go
brother.
Ahead.
You probably had other things to.
No.
To discuss.
From the house, do we have any other person who would love to make a presentation after the national anthem? I don't see any, Brother Kwame. Please go ahead and let us hear the African anthem.
Thank you.
Ushindi kwa ukombozi wetu, tujitoe wenye watu, tujitoe wenyewe kupambana pamoja, uhuru na umoja vitawale. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote na tujibidishe kutoa kilicho bora kwa Afrika, chimbuko la wanadamu, chemchemi ya utamaduni, tumaini letu wakati wa mafarakano. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima.
Yes.
Thank you, Brother Pigeon.
Yeah.
Hi, Brother Kwame.
Yes. So yeah, that's it. That's the anthem.
Thank you for the.
Thank you.
Thank you for our anthem. And in the absence of any other presenter, we shall have the questions and comments from the members, from the brothers and sisters in this meeting. Yes, please.
Chair, Brother Ifo's
Sister Ida, is that you?
Ifo's put his hand up to ask.
Yeah, Sister Ida.
Ifo has put his
Thank
hand
you,
up.
Sister Ida.
Good.
Thank you, Sister Ida. Brother Ifo?
Yes.
Sure, the floor is
revolutionary greetings.
yours.
Thank you. Revolutionary greetings to you all. I really loved both of the other presentations and the things that we shared. A further question that I want to ask is whose sovereignty? I came in late, so I don't know if this was addressed, but I mean who, as in, are we talking about the sovereignty of the colonial states? Or are we talking about the sovereignty of ourselves based on our own indigenous boundaries and classification, which don't necessarily relate to the colonial boundaries? And that is my question. I'm only interested in the second one, which is sovereignty based on who our ancestors said they were before we were invaded. But that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Ifo, for the question. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Chair, may I try to address the King Brothers question?
Anytime, my sister.
Okay, thank
Please
you.
go ahead.
I think let me not say think. It is a fact that when the Berlin Conference happened, and I wouldn't dare say it was a Berlin Conference, it was an invasion. When that invasion happened, where they did the borders in contemporary Africa, there was an assumption then that it could segment Africa into portions, and those portions would be similar to oppress them. And what we know, Africa in its indigenous ways, and there's evidence of that. We have been travelers, we've been scientists, our ancestors, any type of field that you can think of in the contemporary field of professionalism, it existed in indigenous Africa. So the idea and the concepts of the borders that have now it can be a blockage, because in that it's saying that Africa is a monolith. And a Kibulon arguably was never a monolith in one way of doing something. That is a very colonialistic and imperialistic way of thinking, that it has to be one way and the only way. Sovereignty, and I have to go back to the amazing quote that King Brother Coco said last Thursday. He said, "The land belongs to the living, the dead, and the unborn." So sovereignty, I would dare say, is in the indigenous way of Africa. It belongs to the living, the dead, and the unborn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister. Brother Pigeon, do you agree? Brother Pigeon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Sawindo. Sorry, I had to excuse myself a bit.
Do you agree with what my sister said? You don't need to agree or disagree. Yes.
She can tell me what she said, because I was not in when she was speaking. I had to excuse myself a bit.
No.
She can put it in the chat, then I can comment.
No, it's fine. You don't need to agree or disagree. Okay. She's hearing what you're saying.
Yeah,
Brother Kwame, both of you. Go ahead, my sister.
King Brother Pigeon, basically simply is that when we talk about sovereignty, it should not be in the contemporary way of looking at Africa with its borders. If we do that, it's back to what Professor Kwame said. We will always fail, because it's very much in an imperial and a colonialistic type of system that is not for us. We should therefore revert back to indigenous African ways. And what King Brother Coco was saying is that sovereignty is for the living, the dead, and the unborn. Thank you.
Thank
I agree.
you.
Sawindo, I agree.
Thank you. Make a long story short, you agree. Brother Kwame.
Yes, I agree.
I'm asking both of you because you made a presentation. Made a presentation of both sovereignty, authority. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Kwame. Any other comment from the brothers and sisters in the house?
Hello?
Windhoek, I thought you asked me to comment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, I thought you said you agree.
It was Pigeon. Pigeon said
Brother
so.
Kwame, I thought you said...
It's Pigeon that responded.
Please, go ahead, my brother.
Thank you. But just so you know, thank you. But just so Ja Musa has been wanting to speak. So
I muted him in the meantime.
Thank you. Yeah, so
I muted him for you.
So yes, thank you. In answer to Brother Ifo Akedi's question.
Hello, don't mute me and have respect. You always invite me to your
Brother Musa, Brother Kwame, hold on for me. I will allow Brother Musa just to say something, and then you can come in.
That's fine.
Brother Musa, please come in. I ask you to unmute. Please unmute and have your comment, your addition, your question.
Stop muting me and sabotaging me.
Now...
Hello, do you hear me?
My apologies that I have muted you. Now I'm giving you the chance to make a comment, to make a question. I can hear you, my brother. Brother Musa, please go ahead. Unmute yourself. Brother Musa, unmute and make your comment, please.
Please, someone keeps on muting me, sabotaging me. Don't you understand me? Huh? Your people are wicked. Listen, I'm from the diaspora. I'm from the diaspora. Can I speak? Don't talk over me. I'm from the diaspora, and we come home, and we should be welcome. And yes, this thing they call sovereignty is real. We don't want no citizenship. We want sovereignty for Africa. We want our kingdom. We don't want no prime minister. We don't want no presidents. We want kingdom. Africa's a kingdom. So you people that were left her and we that were sent to Babylon, let's get this thing straight, okay? Let's get it straight, brother. We want kingdom to come. Africa is a kingdom. It ain't no presidency and all this bullshit. It's a kingdom. And God's kingdom, or whatever you want to call it, must come to earth now. And it's Africa where it starts from. You know, we went to Babylon. We come home, and now we want sovereign rights, no matter what part of Africa. Of course, the whole Africa belongs to us, because you took us away. All you people that were responsible, your generation, for sending us on the slave ship to go and build up dirty, stinking Babylon. And now we come home, we face another Babylon in Africa. But this is why you people allowed. You should have left us here. We were the defenders. Now we're coming home. And we should have a right to abide at home. Yeah, that's what you should do for us. You're talking about sovereignty all these years. You're supposed to have been have your sovereignty, but it's too much cowards. That's what it is. You're afraid to stand up to the beach, but we from Babylon, we're not afraid of them. You understand me? We grew up with them. We live amongst them. And now we come home. And we want to live free in Africa. Free.
Thank you.
This is
Thank you, my brother.
This is our home.
Thank you, my brother. I share the same sentiments with you. And I would love to apologize on behalf of the meeting that you feel sabotaged. That was not the intention.
Yeah, because it was transatlantic
my
slavery.
apologies for that as the chairman.
Okay.
My apologies once more. But I have heard your comment. Please don't mind any word that has been used. I take apology for that on behalf of all of you all. Thank you, my brother. Brother Kwame, can you please come in? Thank you, brother Musa. Brother Kwame, come in.
Thank you. If I may comment on Brother Musa before I move on. It's really very exciting to hear our Brother Musa making that very heart-warming assertion in terms of the sovereignty of the African people. And what we want people like Brother Musa to do is to link up with other Africans in the diaspora, like myself, so that we can shout louder to assert our right to sovereignty. As Brother Musa said, we are living in the belly of the beasts, and some of our parents came here as students, never went back. You remember when Ghana got independence, and before, a lot of Africans were sent out to go and study. Of course, when the coup came, a lot of them were sabotaged, as happened. So it's very heartwarming to hear our Brother Musa making the assertion. And I think you've already said, Chair, that we agree with him, that they must come home. We must come home. And we are coming home. It's not about citizenship, because we own the land. As our sister said, we own the land, quoting the Coco, the land is ours. It doesn't belong to America. It doesn't belong to Russia. It doesn't belong to China. It doesn't belong to Saudi Arabia. It doesn't belong to anybody. The land is ours. We are the fathers and the mothers of creation. The song we sang, the African anthem, was very clear. We are the originators of everyone on this planet, and we deserve respect. Okay? We are not being respected. They have to respect us. Okay? It's very disrespectful to speak disrespectfully, to dishonor your parents, your father and your mother. Okay? It's very disrespectful. Nobody dishonors their parents, and yet the entire world has been disrespecting us, even though we are their fathers and their mothers. Some of them are vagabonds, some of them are rascals, some of them are disrespectful, etc., etc. Some of them are murderers. Okay, we know all this. But as our brother Musa is saying, yes, we must return, they must return, and we must claim what is ours. Brother Ifo's question was, how do we define sovereignty? And the answer is, we define sovereignty the way that Sister Portia has defined it, but let's look at it also from the scientific point of view in conscientism. It is conscientism's position that we must root our understanding philosophically of who we are in the theory of light and the general theory of relativity. I know we haven't got there yet. It's in chapter 4 of conscientism. Okay, and the idea is that light is both a particle and a wave, and the waves of light go back into the past, they are present today, and they continue into the future. Therefore, we are a people of waves, and our waves go back into the past, go through the present, and into the future. At the same time, we are also particles. We are individual human beings. Okay, so we are both individual human beings. Our individual rights must be respected. Nobody should trample down upon the individual right of any African. Okay, it has to be respected. At the same time, we are part of a nation, and that nation is indigenous. Indigenous, it is organic. We have never gone away. We have been here since the creation, since the beginning of time. Okay, and we will still be here. They tried to wipe us out. It didn't happen because we are a strong people. We've always been strong. Okay, that is how we are. Nobody can destroy us. Any idea that we shall be destroyed is anybody thinking that is living in Clark. You may kill some of us, but you can never get rid of the African people, because we are the progenitors of this planet. Brother Raspala is here. He can tell you, okay, more about that. So the answer to Brother Ifo's question is, the Africa, yes, sovereignty belongs to the organic nations of Africa, because we are particles, yes, but we are also waves. All right, we are part of a wave. We are part of nationalities. Okay, so sovereignty, I am because we are. There is no way I can have sovereignty unless the nationality from which I come from has sovereignty. The sovereignty I have as an individual comes from the sovereignty of my people. Okay, the idea that we have sovereignty that is separate from our nationalities is philosophically incorrect. Therefore, let's all be clear. So that is what sovereignty is. And that is why for us, unification of Africa must be on the basis of the organic and the indigenous nations of Africa, who have always been here and who will continue to be here. And then finally, we reject the neo-colonial borders. When our parents left Manchester in 1945 to fight for the independence of the continent, we were clear that we were only going to fight for independence in terms of the territories, the colonial territories from which we came. It was never our vision that we will have, therefore, a continent that is based on the colonial borders. When Ghana became independent, it wasn't built on only the Gold Coast. Ghana was Ghana. It incorporated not only the colonial territory proper, it also included what you call the Transvaal Togoland. It then included Ashanti territories, the Ashanti Protectorate, and the Northern Territories. 4 territories came together to make Ghana what it is today. What we are saying is that it should not just be 4. We should expand that to include everyone. So we have one country, one nation, one passport, right? One military. That takes no nonsense from anyone. If we have a military, that is continental. Okay, we don't care who wants to come to the continent to come and kidnap our president. We shall deal with them because we are Africa. We are afraid of no one. Okay, that is who we are. We've been here before everybody came. We will be here after everyone is gone. So that's my comment, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I can see you are getting spiritual. Thank you for that. Anybody else in the house? Brother Glenroy, can you add something on the diaspora? If it is fine with you. Sister Chaza. Sister Chaza. Sister Dabua.
Chair, Glenroy
yes, Brother Glenroy, I called you already. Please go ahead. Feel free. Please go ahead, Brother Glenroy.
Yes, thank you. I wasn't going to make any comments, but just say that I don't consider myself in the diaspora anymore. I'm now living on the continent. But I would just reiterate or support the sentiment being given to let's address the post-Berlin Conference boundaries and borders, and let's try to see and speak and recognize the continent as one. It's a difficult task because clearly many people are invested in their nationality, even if they know it's something that's been imposed. We have that with islands outside of the continent and Caribbean, and even Americans, Africans in America who cannot see themselves as Africans alone. They are African Americans. So the problem is quite large. Let's not take it lightly. Asante sana.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my brother. Sister Chisomo. Sister Chisomo. Can you hear me? Any comment?
No, at the moment, because I came in late. Oh. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Tatemotau. Brother Benny. Are we together still?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Any comment, any question, any suggestion, any addition, any detraction?
Yeah, I'm interested in what Brother Kwame mentioned about the sovereignty in terms of how we are able to defend. I think that's the priority
Brother
of
Benny.
having.
Brother
Yes.
Benny.
Yes.
I think you have got
you
a kind of an echo.
Echo.
There's
okay.
an echo coming
it's where I am. Yeah. The need for that unified army is very crucial. It's crucial for the defense of the continent, and without that, what happens is just a moment. What happens is we don't have the kind of defense that should be capable to hold us and our so-called enemies also at bay. So it is another area that I miss here of our so-called politicians talk about We know some countries are arming, but we don't actually have facilities to produce the major weapons that are capable to defend us. We don't need to expect other countries to do it before we do it. Asia, for instance, a lot of countries can produce major weapons. And Africa, in this case, I feel we also need to have at least 3 countries that are capable of high deterrent weapons in order to, as somebody was telling me just some few days ago, that look, who could have prayed than the people so-called Israel? But at a point, they have to manufacture arms to use it against their enemies. You see, so it also comes back to us that we can rely on maybe some mental kind of I mean perception that some defense will come from somewhere. We need practically and physically to say that we have deterrence, and that constitutes sovereignty. Because sovereignty without deterrence actually may not actually exist as sovereignty at all. It gets worse. It can be written in constitution, but then it doesn't hold that kind of being practically feasible, you see. So I think Brother PG mentioned about even though we feel we are sovereign, but on the ground, the people are not sovereign, you see. And if the people are not sovereign, because the government themselves also are not sovereign. We are not able to defend our decisions. We are not able to defend our whichever direction we need to go. Rather, others dictate to us because they don't see us as being sovereign as we perceive that to be. Ours is text maybe constitutionally written, but does it work? It's where I want to land for others also to
Thank you.
me. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Tatemoto, your hand is up.
Thank you, Brother Sewenduk. Members on the platform, good evening. My input is just to acknowledge all the presentations and really come up with this situation. You know, it is frustrating for us who have been part of this struggle for total liberation. And I always use the reference of my country, South Africa. We people of the world still expected to see true liberation in South Africa when the oldest liberation movement on the continent was already captured in 1955. So what we are seeing in South Africa is nothing that we could not have known. Where am I going to? We on the platform need to realize that it takes a certain caliber of leadership that will really be able to be above all the machinations of imperialism. And if you take all this, you will have to go to the spirit of people like Sekou Toure, a leader who was brave to say, even if you take whatever you have as colonialists, you leave my country, I will build it from zero. And literally, Sekou Toure did that. Julius Kambarage Nyerere left his prime minister position and went back down on the ground to his people because he was not comfortable to be that leader when the people on the ground are behind. And he went and started teaching the people, Ujamaa, come, let's work together. And that's how some of us as former freedom fighters were able to be received in countries like Tanzania. And the people there were in harmony with us as freedom fighters. Look at what is happening in South Africa. Former liberation movement in power, we cannot even accept our brothers in the continent, telling us that our leaders were just happy to get into power, but they didn't have this thing that we are talking about. And this is where my trust is. We as the people on the platform need to have that spirit. We need to have that courage to say, I'll rather struggle in freedom than to be free in captivity, as some of our first heroes said to us. That is what I wanted to emphasize. For us to reach this unity that we are talking about, if we don't push through all these machinations of imperial, I mean, how do you in South Africa still have the leadership of the ANC saying they still want to remain in power? 114 years since they were established. Surely this is a fallacy, and if we don't see through it and push through it, our countries will never unite. Thanks.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. And while we are here, Sister Amma, did you say you don't have something to contribute? And I see Sister Tabua, I recognize your hand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone who's made a contribution. I'm still reeling from the problems that I had last week in terms of not being heard. But I really appreciate the contributions that everyone has made. And in my mind echoes the sentiments that have been expressed that we need to unite. We need to continue the fight. And for me, it's the practical things that we can do besides talking. I'm thinking, for example, last week, what I wanted to question was, when we say liberation, the unfinished liberation project, I was wondering whether we change our mindset to move from unfinished to continuation. Because if we're still talking about the unfinished project, there's a negative connotation to that wording. Therefore, what I'm hoping we're going to adopt is a stance that shows the continuation of the liberation effort. And for me, if we're going to talk about a project has a beginning and an end. And we are today acknowledging that we are in a continuation. We thought at some point that the political liberation would be what we were looking for, but now we know, and now we know better. Therefore, what we need to acknowledge is that those who went before us did what they could. Mistakes will be made, just as much as when people are looking in retrospect at our efforts, they'll be able to identify some of the things that we could have done better. Therefore, let's acknowledge the guys who've gone before us, and let's take up the mantle from them. The baton is in our hands, and we need to run with it as much as we can. If we are intending to continue using hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. If we want to continue using the idea of the word project, then it means we have to come up with very concrete steps that we need to take. Actual steps with deadlines and activities that we need to get involved with in order for us to move the struggle forward. Because I need us to say, for example, even with the African National Congress, even with ZANU-PF, they had a role to play, but their time has run out. We need new ideas. The question is, how do we move forward from here? How do we move from the flag and the political independence to where we need to go, the unification of Africa? What is it that we need to do? Comrade Pigeon was talking about that sovereignty belongs to the people. Therefore, we need to work with the people. We need to find programs that we can put down so that when, like Professor Kwame said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So we need to prepare the students. Thank you very much, everyone. Most appreciate all the contributions.
Thank you, my sister. And
Chair.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let me make a quick interjection.
Yes.
As one of the speakers for today. So Sister Tapua, I think, has made some very insightful comments, and we thank Sister. We thank you so much. But I wanted to clarify one small thing.
And Brother Kwame.
That is that, yes.
While you are there, Brother Benny has factored in deterrence in your thesis. Can you please also factor in solidarity? Thank you. Go ahead.
Can you repeat that again, brother?
I said Brother Benny has factored deterrence in the topic of the day. Can you also factor in solidarity in the topic of the day, just briefly?
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't hear everything he said, because I also expressed myself briefly like Brother Pigeon. So I'm sorry I didn't quite hear everything he said.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
To respond effectively to what Brother Benny said. So one small thing, I want to clarify this, and that is that it was never the goal of our parents when they fought for independence. It was never their intention that it was for political independence. Nkrumah has made it very clear, that their struggle for the independence of the continent, going back to even Marcus Garvey, was for economic independence, which is what we are discussing today. That was the goal. The reason political independence was important was because the colonialists were in charge of the continent. We had colonial governments across the African continent, except for the 8 independent states that were there before, and you know them, those who were never colonized, like Ethiopia, those who, like Sierra Leone, that was set up by the British, Liberia, that was set up by the Americans, etc., etc. But on the whole, Black Africa that was colonized, when our parents were agitating for independence, it was never the intention. I mean, those who fought for the independence, not those who said, it's okay, let's work with these people, and then when we are ready, then we can then take over from them. There were those who said that, yeah? But I'm talking about the radical Pan-Africanists or the radical freedom fighters who led the decolonization movement. So their position was that we are fighting to liberate our people who have given us the authority. Remember, they gave them the authority. It was about economic independence. But in order for us to be able to make economic decisions, we have to be in political office. Because if you're not in political office and you don't replace the colonialists, you can't make those decisions. So our people were very clear. In fact, Nkrumah made it also clear, for instance, that when they left Manchester at the time, what they thought was that, this is Nkrumah himself explaining, yeah? At the time, the West Africans were only thinking about West African unification. They weren't even thinking about the continental unification at the time. And Nkrumah said that it was when they were in office, when he was in office, that he realized that actually West African unification alone wasn't enough. So to cut a long story short, the answer to the question, what do we need to do in terms of projects, are as follows. 1, we need to unify the continent politically, because no single African country can extricate themselves from neocolonialism. Even if you're a soldier like Traore, you can't do it by yourself. You can only do so much. Now, so the first thing is political unification. And after political unification, then we can move to economic liberation. Because when the continent is united, then it can give orders. It can tell its enemies what it wants and doesn't want. You see, so yeah, so political unification for the entire continent, and then economic liberation, and then continental development in that order. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Brother Musa. Brother Musa?
Yeah, I'm here.
You wanted to say something? I can see your mic is open.
Yeah, I saw that it said to open my mic. But yeah, I want to first say mi pacho. Apologize, but you know, sometimes when I think about the slave trade, I got so angry at the people. I even got angry at you people for allowing them to take us away. Because that story, it really affects me so badly that I feel what my ancestors go through because I am my ancestors are one. So if it wasn't for them, you know, I won't be here. My father's fathers bring me here. So I was one that made it through the Middle Passage. But if you heard the story about the Middle Passage, it wasn't nice. And sometimes we think that it's different ancestors. We are one people, but we got separated from Kamasi. Asante Hini, that man is responsible for the golden stool. But look what he's doing. They change it to materialism, money. They take paper and throw away gold. Foolishness is that. Yeah. So now we have to suffer because of paper. And they sell us to them white people for little or nothing. You said my grandmother still got raped. You said my forefathers still got hung. Yeah. And then the stronger ones, they breed them like dogs. Listen, if you people, you heard about what we went through. I'm not saying it didn't happen bad here, but the transatlantic slavery, I still hear it when I go to Accra and I go to the shores, you know, the coastlines. I can't stay long. Me. And now in Ghana here, they change it like it's some museum, like it's something you could show tourists to have fun. Don't you know people like we will mash up that place? Huh? It ain't no joke thing. You don't make money off what our ancestors went through. You show them it's historical. They should be able to go there free if they choose. Well, me, I'm not paying to go inside to get traumatized more. No, because I'll come out and want to slap everybody around me. Yeah,
thank you, my
for
brother.
allowing this to take place.
Thank you, my brother. I can feel the fire in you. We share the same fire.
Chair?
Yeah,
Chair,
it's burning.
Can I make a quick comment on Brother Musa?
Yes, please.
Brother Musa, I would like you to know that, yes, there were some chiefs that were involved in the slave trade, but it wasn't our people that commenced the slave trade. There is no record anywhere that Africans said to Europeans, we have Africans for sale, come and buy them. Nobody till today has shown us any record that Africans said, come, we have brothers and sisters for sale, come and buy them. The European slave trade was started by the Europeans. So in as much as we know, and we have names of some African, potentates, the kingdoms, they were heads of kingdoms who were engaged in the slave trade. I think that needs to be clear. Some of our people were actually stolen. They were actually stolen. So I just thought I should make that point. On the point,
thank you.
Chair, on the point about paying to go into the in Cape Coast, paying to go into the place. I find that shocking as well. So, Brother Musa, I agree with you. I don't think we should be paying. Our people should be paying to go in there. So thank you for making that point. We shall see what we can do to write the government and say that this is how our people feel, and it's not right. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you, Brother Musa and Brother Kwame. Sister Portia, your hand has been up for long. I have recognized it already. Brother Joseph as well, your hand, I know it's there, and Brother Ifo, your hand is there. Sister Portia, just have a minute on the gold situation in Burkina Faso before you come to your comment, please.
Pardon me, what did Chair, you wanted me to comment on about Burkina Faso before I go to what points I was going to say? Is that correct,
Yes,
Chair?
please. Yes, please.
Well, I actually put something about Burkina Faso in the chat, and I think
Exactly,
all of us here
exactly. It's on the basis of that, my sister.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think all of us are aware that it is strongly alleged that they took out one of the sons of Muammar Gaddafi this week. So what I appreciate about the Burkina Faso or the alliance of the Sahel states is they take on the advice that Professor Kwame so advisedly said at a continental level, or at a, in this case, it would be a national level because it would be one nation of Akibalanese. But basically, the alliance of the Sahel states and why so many, I would dare say, people are supporting this alliance is because they have said, you attack one of us, you attack all of us. So I think giving respect that they have to Queen Sister Tapua's point, actually done something, I think there's a lesson there because they did kick out France. They did kick out the French government. It was resistance, quite, yet France is not welcome there. And the people, to the previous elder's point, who was saying us in the diaspora, just, freedom isn't free and let's return home. They are there protecting, for example, President Traoré, and not taking any joke with the attempted assassinations. There's been so many, but one came in January, and not taking no mess. So I think there is a case study to be learned about the alliance of the Sahel states not waiting to have the racial capitalist system or systems be tackled and saying, you know what, we rather die on standing on our feet fighting for freedom than die on our knees hoping for freedom. So that's my comment on that. And then please, Chair, if I may, I wanted to address some questions. I saw a question in chat by Sister Ida, and I wanted to make some comments. Chair, may I do so?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I have said to all of you with continued candor that I say, and you can see this on a UN clip last year, for example, I say I am foundational Black American, I am African. And I ask that we have grace for those of us who are going through those processes of identification. Just in 2025, I was able to trace back on my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family 3 generations back. So that's around the 1800s. And I'm 54. So I should have known that because in indigenous African ways, you knew or we knew who we came from. And that is, of course, you can still see that on the continent, yet in diaspora, at least I can say in United States of America, and I am not at any way advocating for a DNA test. I would dare say don't let anyone have your DNA test in an imperialist system. So those of us are yearning to find out who we are. So what I have done is I've used the library, and I want to look at the physical records, which I've done. And I've been able now to go up to like the 1800s to know where on my dad's side my family was and on my mom's side. And then next I'm going to go all the way back to Africa. And as I said, I'm not going to do a DNA test. Anyway, just having grace for that. And then the two, to Sister Ida's question, economics has been brought up by myself, Professor Kwame, and also King Brother Pigeon. So it's not the first time. And I would dare say a caution again, which I said earlier, is we don't only focus on economics, because that can fool us. And pardon for the background noise. And then just three more point. Oh, I've already talked about the AES, but then back to the fourth point, which connects to ancestry. Something is another type of power that we had in Africa that we are losing, arguably Africanist diaspora, and that is the power of the griot, or passing down our lineages. So my relative, I won't mention which relative is, but y'all know I've been challenged with homelessness, and we were talking since I got to come now reconnect with my family, because I think that's part of liberation. I can't say I'm African and I'm liberated and I don't talk to my people. So we were talking one day, and she was saying to me, because I was feeling like a utter failure, very ashamed. And she said, from what I remember, you were always a positive role model to my children. And I never thought of it that. And so turns out now her children are very much looking for their heritage. And one of those children told me personally, saying that what I taught them about, heritage and dignity is what
Sum up, my
inspired
sister.
them. Yeah, so to sum up, what I am really emphasizing, it's not so much about the economic. It's one tier, but that knowledge of self and encouraging our younger generation, knowing who they are and that they can persevere, is very key. And that will be courageous rather than fearful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Chair?
Yes, please.
We only have 7 minutes left, but
Yeah,
there are 4 hands up.
Yeah.
With the permission of everyone, let's please take all those hands before we bring the meeting to a close. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How did you know that? Brother Joseph.
Yes,
yes,
good
your hand was
afternoon.
first up. And then in that order, after Brother Joseph, we will have Brother Ifo. Brother Ifo, did the other Brother Ifo leave? Then Brother Ifo.
Yeah, that was me. I just logged in from my computer. I was on my phone before.
And then Sister Amma, and then Sister Grace. That was the order that I have taken the hands. Please go ahead.
Yes, I really wanted to support Sister Tapua. And when she said that we must focus less on the concept of unfinished and more on the continuation, because I think there's some psychological in that, it means it can bring guilt and all that kind of thing. But if we decide, okay, that we need to continue, like we were sleeping and we wake up now, so we continue. So it's not really the unfinished aspect of it. I could understand where she's coming from. So I want to strongly support what she said. But also the issue of, and the last speaker mentioned a topic that I think we should really take apart one day, is the whole issue of economy. And sometimes I get the impression that forums like this also get stuck on the whole issue of the economic part of it with the minerals and whatever. But people need to understand that until until colonization and so on, until Adam Smith, the economy was managed by the society. from Adam Smith when he promoted the colonization of nature and everything. Although there's some query about whether he did or not, but the whole thing about getting land and everything like that, to propel the capitalist system played into that. And what has happened now, rather than the society directing the economy is have now held the society captive, and everything is being run like a driver from the economy, which is one of the reasons why you have issue of climate change and all the pollution and all of that, because economy, maximization of money and of profit and everything like that. So I think it would be good if we could have a deep discussion on how do we frame things. Finally, I think one of the problems that we have is that unless we decolonize our minds, and I had a conversation with one of my students earlier on today, in terms that people say, well, just a word, but words, words really prescribe or it suggests certain energy or movement. So if we don't learn to use the correct terminology so that we could really lessen the confusion in our intellect or head, then we will continue. So many times I've heard people referring to the economy and then they're telling me about the society. So we have to get this clear. So this is something we need to really think about. And I've heard it a lot of times. People more focus on how much minerals the continent have and so on. But what about the culture, the nature, the people, the history and so on that we could recapture? And I was glad that she meant, I think the last speaker also mentioned the griots. We need to bring back, this was one of the strengths of the African people, especially West African people. Thank you.
Brother Ifo, sorry, I was muted briefly because I had a noise in my background. Brother Ifo, please go ahead.
I agree three gazillion% with the last speaker. We have a cultural problem, not an economic problem, because the colonialists have imported the culture of capitalism, which is the culture of rape and pillage and destroy. And we do not need more African capitalists. We need more Africans who understand culture and sociology and a socialist and Afrocentric in their approach. But that was not why I put my hand up. I put my hand up because I wanted to both agree with our sister in the US about the need for grace, but also challenge the sister in the US to make sure that there's grace being shared with those of us from the continent and from the Caribbean. I have the misfortune of living in Canada, and so I have a lot of contact with our cousins who were kidnapped and taken both to Canada and to America. And the hate and vitriol that they throw in our general direction and disrespect that they have for Africans and our African cousins in the Caribbean is next level. They use the term that they've used that they call us tethers. And so I think that there's a need to be wary of that. And also, when people are talking about the struggles and what happened before they were kidnapped, you need to remember that this is a war that's been going on for over 400 years. And so when people come at your house with a gun or with all kinds of guns and ask you to do things, if there's things that people do under war that they would never do under normal circumstances. I am not denying the fact that there were a handful of folks, there were a handful of kings who were involved in the human trafficking. I refuse to call it a trade because we're not commodities, we're human beings. Sorry, I was muted. I would just end here. But a majority of the people were kidnapped and fought to try to free themselves, and also had community members who were trying to rescue the people that were kidnapped from the community. And I find it really, really, really problematic that people seem to have all kinds of smoke for those of us whose lands were invaded and people that were kidnapped, but don't seem to have the same level of smoke for the colonizers and the kidnappers from the Europe and from the Arab world. And once we deal with that and we learn to respect ourselves as human beings and stop believing the nonsense that the colonizers have told us, we will stop blaming the victims of colonialism for stuff that happens. There's nobody in America that is sensible that will look at Ukraine, for example, and say, well, there are some people in Ukraine who might like Russia. So because of that, everybody in Ukraine is guilty of supporting Russia. We don't say that nonsense. But for some reason, when it comes to Africa, we seem to have decided that everything negative is every African is responsible for. And miraculously, they don't do the same thing for positive. So that's anti-Black.
Thank you, my brother.
And I just want us to be mindful of how we talk to each other with dignity and respect, with all due respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Sister Amma.
Hello to everybody, and thanks for all the contributions. And in fact, what the last brothers just said, let me just build on that. At every stage of our struggle against oppression, repression, exploitation, there have been collaborators, but they are always in the minority. At every stage of our struggles, our people have resisted. And one of the things, to bring it down to a human level, that I want to highlight, and in relation to the kidnapping of our people and enslavement of our people from the various parts of Africa, is that they came from families. So there were families who were left behind, who lost their sons, their daughters, their wives, their husbands, their mothers, their fathers. And the majority of African people did not collaborate with the enslavement. The majority, were either hurt or did things to resist, and a mixture of the two. So let us always be clear about that. There is a continuous, deliberate strategy narrative to constantly tell us that we are responsible for the state of Africa and the bad things that happened in the past. And I'll just highlight one book, which if ever people haven't read it, or even if they've read it, we should go back to, is How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney. So let us remember that for every human being, African, who was taken out of Africa, there was a network of people, family, who never knew what happened to the member of their family, and who would have been traumatized as well. And let us also remember that slavery happened internally within Africa. So I was reading the other day about, was it Madagascar or Mauritius, how Africans were taken and enslaved there. Let us remember colonialism. So just highlighting one country in particular, I'm not saying this, Democratic Republic of Congo, if we saw, or if we remember, or if we study what happened there, then we know that the suffering was immense as well. And so we should understand that across history and across all of our peoples, the suffering has been there, the exploitation has been there. And what we do is we come together to look at how we can go forward. And in doing that, we recognize that at every stage, and in every place, our people have resisted. I'm just going to highlight 3 from the diaspora. Quilombos in Brazil. Gulas in South America, the Maroons in the Caribbean. And I picked those three to also highlight that the diaspora is wide. So from the north of America, Canada, right down to the southern tip of what we call Latin or South America, Africans were taken and scattered. And that's one layer of the diaspora. But we have other layers of the diaspora that have come after that. And we actually, I think at some stage, and I'm not volunteering to do that, we actually need to have a discussion about who is the diaspora. Because the diaspora is Africans who are in Europe, Africans who came out during the period of colonialism, Africans who have come out during the period of neo-colonialism. So the diaspora is actually a mix, and in many regards a magical mix, and we need to look at how we draw on all of those energies to benefit the building of Africa for the peoples of Africa. Our narrative is not a single story. Our narrative is a multiple story, and our narrative, as well as involving the suffering, constantly involves the struggle to build and to resist. And all of those are important in terms of how I'm going to finish on this sentence, but I'm going to say one thing after is how we build to unite, we struggle, or our drive to unite and build a better Africa. I'll finish there.
Thank you. Brother Kwame, any quick comment?
No, sir.
Thank you. Sister Chisomo.
No, mine is a quick one.
Sister Chisomo.
Yes. Mine is a quick one. I was just picking up on what Brother Ja Musa, Sister Portia, and then followed up by Brother Ifo, and now Sister Ama, that the issues raised by the first two and then commented on by the last two needs a bit more discussions, like Sister Ama just said. A few things has been raised by Brother Musa, and then Sister Portia as regards to Foundational Black Americans. We just need a bit more understanding of that, so that when we are having these discussions, we are familiar with these issues and what they mean, and yeah, just as what the other two have commented on, that so that we understand each other, give it more discussion. It's come at the end of the session, so we've run out of time to actually, maybe a separate session just to discuss that, to hear our brothers and sisters, hear what their views are, and then we share the information and have a better understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, my sister. Brother Sechaba, Brother Philip, Brother Hypercon.
Sorry, brother. It's already 8 past. The 4 whose hands were up have spoken. So let's bring the meeting to a close.
Thank you, my brother.
In terms of respecting people's time, those who are here on time. So, Chair, if you can ask Brother Pigeon to make the announcements and then bring the meeting to a close. The other thing also is that we've heard what has been suggested, and we shall put together a session on who is or what is the diaspora. And as you always getting the speakers. So if anybody here would like to be a speaker, please get in touch with Brother Pigeon. Thank you. Chair, back to you. Thanks.
Brother Pigeon, without further ado.
Brother Window, can you hear me?
Fill us in. Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, comrades. As usual, permit me to appreciate your time, your data bundle, your other connectivity. Those of us in the continent, sometimes very expensive to connect. For these 2 hours, we appreciate that. Those who did the presentation, we equally appreciate what you did for us. as usual, people say we converse. No, we share our thinking. And sometimes it's very important to give people platform as what you're doing so that they can contribute to the unification of the discussion about African prosperity. Now, I have done the upload as usual for all the previous classes, including the last week. I have not only uploaded this Thursday and the today's session, which will be available by tomorrow. I'll start trying to share those links of our video in our WhatsApp main group, the Consciousness Study group. I'll be sharing as many as I can so that you can help us share them widely. I'm asking and requesting anybody in this platform who has not subscribed to our YouTube channel to please do so that anytime we do an upload, you can get a real-time update. We are also still calling for support. People can help us in our social media platform. Those who can help us share our recordings, those who can help us create short videos, those who can help us even to expand to TikTok and those other live sessions. Anybody who has any idea, I know ideas has been proposed, but we only lack some volunteers who can come on board to help us. So please, if you are in a position or you feel that there's a way you can help us to grow our social media impact, either sharing or editing or using your accounts and the rest, please get in touch with me so that you can collectively work together to build this class and reach out to more people. On Thursday, we'll continue with the capitalism. I think we are in the depth of it. And I request anybody who's missing that session, join us, because it's a very, very interesting conversation. And some of them are actually flipping over to Saturday conversation. And on Monday, we'll continue the reading of the Dr. Georgia Itis book, where we are looking at actually the battlefield and the strategies to defeat dictators, including the messages, the unity of opposition, and many other things. So that's what I can say. On next Saturday, we are actually hosting an ambassador. I think it's been confirmed. The ambassador of Venezuela to South Africa will be speaking to us on the solidarity and all that is going on in regards to South Africa. But Brother Kwame can share in the right context, the topic for that case, pass. We are using Venezuela as a case study for the second time. So it will be an honor to have the ambassador. We'll request you to join in advance. I'll do the posters in advance as well. And please help us share them widely. Our Telegram channel is not silent. We are still uploading books in the library, thanks to Sister Ama's effort and other people who help us share the books there. So the Telegram channel is still having over 8,000 soft copy books, and it's going on. So please also join us in that if you can. And if you can help us share more books in the Telegram, we'll really appreciate it. That's my announcement for this particular moment. And thank you for your time. Brother Kwame?
Thanks, Brother Pigeon. Brother Kwame, you can close the meeting. Brother Kwame, can you hear me?
Okay,
sorry,
let's just go.
Sorry. Yeah, I was saying, Chair, yeah, can you close the meeting? I think, yeah,
right.
It's done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank
Good night,
you,
Sister
everybody.
Good
Ida.
night,
Good
everybody.
night. Take
Good night,
care.
people.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, Brother Musa.
Yeah. And can everybody accept my apologies for being so angry a little bit like that? I really love you, my people. And I love you as a brother and sister.
We love you
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah, Brother
love,
Musa, don't worry, yeah? We love you too. We love your spirit. We love your intervention. We love you, brother. Be in touch with us. Get in touch with Brother Pigeon. He looks after our membership and our WhatsApp group, yeah? And yeah, so be in touch with him. His details are on the poster you would have received before coming here, yeah? So thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Right, so...
Madafio.
Yes, okay. So guys, I just realized I haven't stopped the recording.